My God, that was unnecessary. Those cicadas are doing my head in. Weird exoskeleton space varmints. Might turn them down a bit. Anyway, Crowea saligna. Crowea is a small genus of 3 species, which is closely related to Angiosperm and Philotheca. Grows on the central coast of New South Wales and has been cultivated fairly widely. The stamens are hairy and enclose the centre of the flower. Leaves are sessile with a distinct mid-vein. Crowea saligna is a small shrub up to 1 metre or more high. It has elliptic or lance-shaped leaves up to 80 millimetres long and is 20 millimetres wide, which are dotted with oil glands. Flowers are 5-petalled and usually range from pale to pink, mid-pink in colour. The flowers are usually quite large, with some forms having flowers up to 45 millimetres in diameter. They are usually seen in late summer through to mid-winter. So Crowea is in the family Rutaceae, known as the citrus family, orange, lemon, grapefruit and lime. Boronia is also in this family, as is Corea, Angiosperm, Phibalium, Leonema and Philotheca. Species of the family generally have flowers that divide into 4 or 5 parts. They range in form and size from herbs to shrubs and large trees. Plants in the family Rutaceae often have strong scents. They smell because they produce a lot of organic compounds. Think of Boronia, for instance. One genus, Dictamnus, is particularly weird and interesting. More than 100 chemical constituents have been isolated from the genus, including organic compounds like alkaloids, triterpenoids, flavonoids and a bunch of others. One species, Dictamnus albus, is called the gas plant or the burning bush because of the volatile oils produced by the plant. These oils can catch fire readily in hot weather. The volatile oils have a reputed component of isoprene. See, plants are just chemical factories. Now, getting back to Crowea saligna. Now, have a look at this plant on Wikipedia, specifically at this box at the top right, which shows the plant classification, which is part of plant taxonomy. The other 2 parts of plant taxonomy are the identification and the description of plants. Now, look at the terms used from the top down. The top line is Kingdom Plantae. Above that you could put domain Eukaryotes, and above that some viewers might put God, but that would be a big mistake as this whole thing is about evolution. In fact, if you believe in God, it's probably best you stop watching now. You'll just get angry. Jesus, don't get me started on religion. Let's just say the only ecclesiastical figure I pray to is Saint Christopher Hitchens. Under Plantae is Tracheophytes, which just means vascular plants, and under that is Angiosperms, which just means flowering plants. Now, flowering plants have been studied for a long time, all the way back to ancient Greece, and various scientists have tried to put them in some sort of hierarchy. Google the names Dahlgren, Cronquist, Thorn and Tactijan for some modern hierarchies that we won't be looking at. Now that we have DNA sequencing, we have molecular-based plant taxonomy. The National Herbarium of New South Wales uses the Angiosperm Phylogeny Group version 3 for plant classification, although the latest one is APG version 4. And version 4 is nerd heaven. Google that. APG IV system. It's an overview of all the angiosperm families, and it throws up some interesting information. For instance, molecular-based taxonomy shows us that, and this will change as more research is done, there are two main groups of angiosperms. Remember, they're the flowering plants. Basal angiosperms and core angiosperms. The exact relationships among these groups is not yet clear. The basal angiosperms contain three groups. The ambarellales, containing one family, which is only found on
New Caledonia.
The nymphaeals, containing three families, and the austrobaleales, also containing three families. There are also the core angiosperms, containing the clades Magnolidae, the chloranthales, the monocots, the ceratophyllales, and the eudicots. These clades contain orders, and the orders contain plant families. What is a clade, I hear you ask? A clade is a monophyletic group composed of a common ancestor and all its descendants. For instance, the clade eudicots contain the order Proteales, which in turn contains the family Proteaceae, which is the plant family the Banksias, the Grevilleas and the Hakeas belong to. I've shown you examples of all those plants, so finally we have something solid to cling to. The monocot clade contains an order which contain the family that the orchids belong to, and another order that all the grasses belong to, plus others of course. Have another look at the plant classification box on the Wikipedia page. For Crowea saligna, under the clade eudicots, you will see the clade rosids, the order Sapindales, the family Rutaceae, the genus Crowea, and then the species saligna. It sounds complicated because it is. Just be aware that DNA research is sorting all this out for us. It helps us understand why plants share common traits. If you want to learn more about plants and plant families and you live in New South Wales, I would recommend you use the National Herbarium of New South Wales PlantNet website. You will need to know a bit about terminology for this site to be helpful. Do you know what a leaf is? See? You're already well on your way. Google NSW PlantNet. The first result is the home page. At the moment that page looks like this. Now click on Identification Keys. At the moment that page looks like this. Now click on Class 7 Magnoliopsida. That will show you a page containing a key of plant families. Also be aware that plants with different morphologies have different terms. Orchids, Fabaceae, Asteraceae all use terms not used to describe other kinds of plants. So you won't find a keel or a labellum or a ray floret on, say, a Banksia. If you would like to see some of this information presented in a graphical manner, check out LifeMap. Google LifeMap NCBI and you'll be taken to a page that looks like this. Zoom in on the eukaryotes and keep zooming. Zoom in on Viridae plantae, then Mesangiospermae, then to the left you'll see Proteales, then Proteaceae. Zoom in on that and you'll start seeing all the genera that make up that family. Zoom further and you'll start seeing the species. This is a wonderful tool for visualizing how all the plant families relate. Obviously this program covers more than just the plants. If you want families other than Proteaceae, look further up the tree. You can go on and on, but you get the idea.
I have heard there is a tree at the end of the world.
I have heard this too.
Banksias denoprium. Never heard of it. Click on the species and you get more info. Ooh, and it takes you to Wikipedia. Okay, enough of the web pages. Let's go back outside. This plant is Homolanthus populifolius, known as the bleeding heart. Often appears in areas of rainforest disturbance. It's highly regarded by rainforest regenerators because it is fast growing and it is used as a pioneer species in rainforest regeneration. Has very long petioles that exude a white sap. Leaves are ovate and discolorous. It is dioecious. It's very fast growing and the berries start off green and turn dark. Why do they always break stuff? I'll tell you why. Bad parenting. Because being a dad is a fairly underanalyzed skill up here on the Central Coast, where blokes tend to ejaculate first and ask questions later, like, can I afford to raise this horrible little fucker? And they're court ordered to maintain a list of the children they've fathered but never paid child support for, usually tattooed onto their neck in cursive. Let's see. Declan. Destiny. Who else is there, love? Bacchia linifolia. A heathland shrub up to 2 meters high. Leaves are linear, very needle-like with acute apex. Margins are entire. Found along sandstone creeks, particularly likes to grow near waterfalls, and that's where we found this one. It has small white flowers that look a lot like the flowers of another Myrtaceae family member, Leptospermum. Here is a warm temperate rainforest species, Ceratopetalim, apetalum. Leaves are elliptic to oblong, mostly 60 to 120 mils long, 20 to 50 millimeters wide, petiole usually 10 to 20 millimeters long. They have a serrate margin and a dotted appearance with a pronounced apex. They are a medium-sized tree with smooth whitish bark blotched with grey and white lichens and with distinctive horizontal lines encircling the trunk. During the Second World War, when Canadian birchwood was unavailable, this tree was used in the construction of mosquito fighter bombers at Bankstown Aerodrome in Sydney. It was also used at the Lithgow Small Arms Factory for .303 rifle butts. This tree growing nearby is in the same genus, Ceratopetalim, but is the species gummiferum. They're easy to spot because of their trifoliate leaves. Each leaf is sessile. This tree is not confined to rainforest type environments solely. When in flower, they have red sepals that are easily noticed. Leaflets are lanceolate to ovate, usually 30 to 80 millimeters long, 5 to 30 millimeters wide. Petiole 10 to 20 millimeters long. This tree is Synoum glandulosum, an Australian endemic, leaflets compound, 3 to 11 with the terminal leaflet largest. Oblanceolate to obovate or oblong elliptic, usually 40 to 100 millimeters long. Margins entire and undulate, petioles up to 3 millimeters long. We'll come back and look at this species in another video. This strange thing is a Xanthorrhea species, known as a grass tree. Endemic with 15 species, 6 species in the Hawkesbury River area. Some species have trunks that are underground. Flowers appear on this tall spike, called a scape. Let me try and get this thing into focus. Those little white blotches are what's left of the flowers. And the grey thing is the scape. They can get quite tall compared to the rest of the plant. Here is some Apacris longiflora. You can still hear the cicadas rising and falling in volume.
I have heard this too.
That's all we've got today. Remember now, don't act like a dickhead.